Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. So we are starting to get into deeper parts of the economy, Indian economy. So in the earlier videos, as we all know, we did look into the Indian economy related to planning, issues in growth and stuff, and national income accounting, which dealt with the factors of growth like GDP, GNP, PPP, PCI, and different types of GDP like alternatives to GDP like green GDP, human development index, etc. So in today's lecture we will be starting with the next unit, mobilization of resources. See, with respect to mobilization of resources, it forms a very important part with respect to mains in particular. So let's get into the video. So we'll be looking at what is the definition of resources, types of resource, need for the mobilization of resource, sources of resource mobilization. See, before we get into the definition of resource, we should know what is resource mobilization. See, it is nothing but coordination of all activities involved in securing new and additional resource for an organization. See, let me repeat it again. Coordination of all activities involved in securing new and additional resources for an organization is resource mobilization. It can be from outside the enterprise to take effective measures, okay, for the best utilization of the resources, existing resources, is also considered as mobilization of resource. See, which can also be called as termed as a new business development. When you mobilize new resources, you can build development. We can build new business. Now let's get into the definition of resource. So a resource is nothing but something which has value and is required to accomplish the desired objective, and is also referred to materials available in our environment which help us to satisfy the wants and needs of human. See, a resource is something which has value and is required to accomplish desired objective. Let's take coal. It is a resource which has value. It is required to the power plants for generating electricity. So it is available in our environment and it helps us in satisfying our wants and needs that by generating electricity. This is resource. See, it has three common features. Resources in the sense have three common features. Utility, that is which is used to satisfy the customer. Limited availability. See, resources, economy, resources in sense it is based on scarcity of resources. And potential for depletion. See, resources are gradually reduced as they use. They are not infinite, they are only finite. These three features are very, very important with respect to resources. See, we should also know that resources are very, very important for the country. They are the backbone for an economy or nation. See, it might include natural resources, financial resources, human resources, these etc. These are all required for the development of an economy or a nation. So now let's look into the types of resources. See, first, natural resources are those resources which exist in earth without any actions of mankind, where they can be used for commercial or industrial use. Sunlight, water, land, these all have been considered valuable in their natural form. That is the natural resources. They are they form the prime type of resource. Next is the financial resource. So it is the most important resource and has to be arranged first to meet other resource requirements. See, you might have an idea to set up an industry, but you need money for that. That finance resources are the most Even the basic form of business needs funds for getting registered or procurement of other inputs. See, they can be from financial resources, can be from variety of sources like fund from owners, finance from family, friends, and borrowed funds. See, these sources can be divided into two categories, which is based upon their lifespan, like long-term financing sources, like like maintaining minimum working capital, like equity funds, shares, long-term bank loan, public deposits, etc. Short-term finance sources include like trade credit, short-term bank loans, etc. Next comes the human resource. See, after employing the financial resource, human resource plays the next most importance. See, the success of an organization on its part is very much dependent on its skills and abilities of the human resource which is employed by them. See, acquiring the right employees for the right type of work and placing the person under that category for work, these all come under the aspects of human resource. See, on the whole, a strong team is one of the basic drivers for successful industry. Tata Industries can be said as a great example for strong team which has been running successful. To select the most suitable team, there are different internal and external sources available within and outside the industry, like contractors, advertisements, in like in local newspapers, online advertisement. These can all be used to get your human resources. See, to manage human resource, following aspects must be looked into: total manpower required for industry, the key skill required for your industry, and what the training need for the development and training for your product, legal compliances attached with mobilizing the human resource, and estimation of the future demand of the product. These all should be considered before taking into one human resource, taking into the consideration of the human resource. See, after human resource, material resources plays the next importance, without which human resource is of no use. See, for example, of people, workers working in the cement factory have no work to do unless they get their raw material, that is limestone. If they don't get their raw material, that is limestone, on time, they don't have any work until the supply arrives. So in this, the supply chain departments grow out of this branch and have been and is been very useful and effective aspect of the business management. Next one is physical resource. See, you acquire funds, human resources, everything. Now you need physical resource like land, a building, plants, machinery, furniture, and raw materials for your industry. See, you should design a proper procedure for your procurement of your business resource. See, this aspect can be costlier because some heavy industries need heavy investment depending upon the workplace. Uh, However, some businesses do not require much more physical resources, like simple mobile app creators do not require much bigger space. But when you bring in huge physical resource investment, like sugar factory, oil refineries, you need huge heavy investment, heavy physical resources, machinery, land, everything you need it in huge. And similarly, larger the firm, higher would be the requirement. That is something which we must note into. See, before taking into consideration of the physical resources required, The entrepreneur should realistically assess his need before making any purchase, and it must be made sure that the resources do not go in waste or vain. Once analyzed, a simple purchase can be undertaken to fulfill the requirement. See, uh, physical resource mobilization broadly includes infrastructure, land, building, plant and machinery, the different technologies to implement the production process, um, lease agreement of land or acquisition of the land, and different furnitures and fixtures for the same. Next comes the intellectual resources. See, it refers to the intangible assets which can be used to maintain and create a competitive advantage. What do you mean by competitive advantage? See, you find some loophole or something technologically advanced in your product compared to your competitor, which enhances the efficiency of the product. You can use that to maintain and create a competitive advantage, like getting a patent or copyrights or trademarks on that, so that none of the other competitors can copy that. Finally forms the technological resource. See, these refers to the tools, equipments and process which help in creating, development and implementing the new services and products. See, technologies keep on developing. See, because as the technology develops, it increases the efficiency of the product, like computers, softwares, different advanced R&D facilities. These all form under the technological resources. Now let us look into the need for mobilization of resources. See, it helps in unlocking the potential of resources available. See, what do you mean by that? See, you might have 100 acres of land. When you don't put it into use, or that 100 acres, it's of no use to you. See, when you monetize that assets by putting it to agriculture, a few parts for industry and stuff, like they could be really helpful in developing, in improving the area, and also bringing you something back in return. See, government can invest in the economic development by mobilizing the financial resources which can foster the industrial growth, because it can provide jobs, increase productivity, and also boost the economic growth of the nation, necessary for sustenance for country. See, mobilization of resource is very necessary for the sustenance of country, because see, you cannot use resources as you wish you like. You need to deal with country's problems or issues like hunger, poverty, etc. And that proper mobilization of resource helps in that aspect. Next is helps in expansion. Say, when you mobilize all the resource together and save it, and after a certain point of time you could expand your organization or expand your services for the country, or increase the number of products you sell. Those all can happen only because of mobilization of resources. Next is justice for all. See, it is nothing but optimum using of resources so that it can be accessed by all. Just because you have 1 kilo of, you found 1 kilo of rice, doesn't mean that you alone should use 1 kilo of rice. No, it must be distributed so that everyone gets used. Like progressive taxation plays a vital role, where as the income goes higher, you pay higher taxes. Eventually, see, that higher tax amount helps the lower tax people or the below poverty line people to get at least some benefits for their survival. Next is helps in dealing contemporary issues, so like climate change, natural disasters. These all can be dealt with mobilization of resources. Example, you can say different trials to explore the lithium resources, which can help in promoting the electricity vehicles so that pollution can be reduced. That is helps in dealing the contemporary issues. Next is reduce dependencies. See, when you put your nation in a producing industrial country, see, it can help in reducing your dependency on other nation for a product, which will affect your trade balance in a positive manner and increase the growth of the economy. See, we can say it as shortage of semiconductors during the pandemic. See, during the pandemic, almost all the electronic products have semiconductors, which are very much relevant. But during the pandemic, the medical equipments did not have enough semiconductors. Eventually, the shortage was faced. So these things can all be dealt with the mobilization of resources. Next is the sources of resource mobilization. See, there are different sectors, as we know, public sector and private sector. See, public sector can source their resource from, tax revenues, which includes direct tax like income tax, corporate tax, and indirect taxes like GST. Non-tax revenues means dividends from the PSUs, fines, examination fees, etc., etc. Like we saw recently, like SBI paid a huge amount of dividend to the finance minister. That is a non-tax revenue. Next is external sources, which can be acquired through foreign direct investment, foreign institutional investors, and sovereign borrowings from the IMF, World Bank, etc. And finally, it is mobilizing the human capital through education, skilling, which can help in tackling the human resource problem. But how do the private sector source their resources? See, they borrow from the financial institutions like banks, cooperatives, or credit unions, angel investors who venture capital funds. Actually, they invest in the economy for the same. The capital market like share markets like IPO, debentures, they help in sourcing the funds or for resource. And again, borrowing from international trade financing companies like external commercial borrowings, these all help in mobilizing the resource for public and private sector. So yes guys, that's it for today's lecture, where we dealt with introduction of mobilization of resource, definition of resource, types of resource, need for mobilization of resource, and finally the sources of resource mobilization. So hope you guys are clear with today's topic. Do comment your doubts in the comment section. We'll reply and clear your doubts. So we'll resume the lecture soon. Thank you.